morning and thank you for joining us. First, some breaking news. Libyan Prime Minister Ali Zeidan is seized from a hotel in Tripoli and taken to an unknown location, according to a Libyan government website. Initial reports say armed men calling themselves rebels broke into a hotel and carried out the kidnapping. We are joined on the phone by Boaz Ganor, head of the Counterterrorism and Homeland Security Studies Department at the Interdisciplinary Center in Herzliya. Boaz, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, this comes a few days after the United States carried out a special forces raid in the country, grabbing a senior al-Qaeda member. Do you think, and we're speaking in theory only here, do you think this is connected?
I'm quite sure that this is connected. We need to bear in mind that a few days ago, we had one of the most prominent leaders of al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, which is mainly today rooted in Libya, Nisar al-Libi, who was kidnapped by United States. And this is not a very common modus operandi of United States.
Right.
Until now, they used to use targeted killings, drone attacks, and things like that. They had their reasons to capture and to hold al-Libi. And it seems to me that the kidnapping of Ali Zeidan, the prime minister now, is some kind of A, retaliation, and B, an effort to negotiate to free al-Libi.
Al-Libi supposedly was taken to, I mean, again, this is just according to, reports that he's supposedly on a U.S. vessel in the middle of the sea as he was taken out of Libya. There was a lot of animosity against that U.S. operation in Libya. What is the Libyan people's reaction to the U.S. operating like that in the country?
Well, we don't know exactly. It's still in the making in a way, because the capture of al-Libi was about a week ago.
Right.
But what we do know that Libya in the last few years since the revolution is in a severe mess. Ali Zeidan was elected as the prime minister about a year ago, and he was trying to put some order in the difficult situation that Libya is facing today. Libya has become the breathing platform of many jihadists, local and global jihadists, and especially the headquarters of al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. And Ali Zeidan was calling even a few days ago to international support, helping the Lebanese government to take the control in the ungoverned territories in Libya
the country
itself.
Now, he's been prime minister of this interim government for 2 years after Gaddafi was ousted, much with financial support. Well, I don't want to call it financial support, but with support from the United States in this bloody ousting of Gaddafi 2 years ago. How did Zeidan manage to keep the country together? What has been going on there for the last 2 years?
Well, we should divide this era to different parts, and the most interesting one is the last segment since he was elected as the prime minister. And you're right, he was relying on American support, on French support. Ali Zeidan himself was being regarded as one of the people that persuaded Sarkozy to intervene in the region and help to get rid from Gaddafi. He himself, by the way, was in exile as he was standing against Gaddafi under the term of Gaddafi himself. So from the point of view of the kidnappers, it made sense to kidnap him, and because they think now they have an asset that United States and European countries are very interested in freeing him. So this gives them the ability to bargain, probably for al-Libi.
Now, really quickly, in terms of what does this mean now for Libya? That's a country in the midst of a lot of sectarian strife. Something like this happens. What does it mean for Libya, and what does it mean to the region?
In 2 words, bad news.
God, yeah.
No doubt that it will make it even more difficult for Libya to regain any kind of order and govern the territories that are now under the control of Hakim. I think that we might even see clashes in different regions in Libya in the coming days.
Okay. Boaz Ganor, thank you so much. We will be following this story throughout the day. Again, breaking news, Libyan Prime Minister kidnapped in Tripoli, taken out of a hotel. Moving onwards, we are joined in studio right now by former Israeli ambassador to Egypt, Yitzhak Levanon. Good morning to you,
Good morning,
Yitzhak.
Gail.
We're touching on Egypt as the U.S. government is reportedly said to suspend part of the $1.3 billion in aid it gives to Egypt's military each year. Again, going to the mess that is the Middle East as of late. But before we delve into this issue, let's take a look at the following report about Egypt.
Egypt has been facing ongoing violence since the ouster of Mohamed Morsi on July 3rd. But now, after months of uncertainty, it seems the clashes may cost the country in financial aid. According to CNN reports, the United States is expected to make a decision on withholding military aid to Egypt by the end of this week. The United States has long provided its Middle Eastern ally with about $1.55 billion in annual aid, including $1.3 billion in military assistance. After the military crackdown 3 months ago, the Obama administration encouraged the Egyptian interim government to reach a diplomatic solution with Morsi supporters, but was reluctant to officially describe the situation in the country as a military coup. U.S. President Barack Obama addressed the issue of financial aid to Egypt in his speech at the UN General Assembly.
We'll continue support in areas like education that directly benefit the Egyptian people. But we have not proceeded with the delivery of certain military systems, and our support will depend upon Egypt's progress in pursuing a more democratic path.
U.S. officials who spoke on condition of anonymity said the administration is now leaning towards continuing to withhold most of the $585 million that has yet to be transferred to Egypt. It is not, however, expected to affect the promotion of counterterrorism, such as maintaining security in Sinai. On Tuesday night, the White House released a statement denying the reports, saying that the aid relationship with Egypt will continue, but its precise future would be announced in the coming days.
As said, we are joined in studio by former ambassador from Israel to Egypt, Yitzhak Levanon. Ambassador Levanon.
Yes.
Very, very delicate situation there between the Americans and the Egyptians in terms of, this suspension of part of the money. Why are they doing it? Let's try to break this down in simple terms.
First of all, I think that we should take into account, the terminology that we are using. And when you speak about suspension, it's a heavy word. I would prefer, to use something completely different. It's a kind of recalibrating, let's say, the kind of.
I think that's an advice you should also give to the American administration. Recalibrating of funds.
Look,
okay.
The United States, and this is what President Obama said at the United Nations, and this is what last night the spokesperson of the foreign ministry said, we are not going to cut off, let's say, the aid for Egypt. But yes, we are going to spend it in different domain, because we believe that in this domain, Egypt can go and move on much, much faster toward the objective that we would like to see Egypt.
Democracy.
Meaning a kind of democracy, but democracy meaning to start the process of the new constitution, the elections of the council, of the legislative elections, and the president, and to move and to give the power to the civilians. This is what is the objective of the United States.
But I have to ask you this. Clearly that's the objective of the United States. Recalibrating the funds away from the army that is in charge. It was reported yesterday that Mohamed Morsi, who is the Muslim Brotherhood's ousted leader, will be standing trial November 4th in Egypt. He was, love or hate the Muslim Brotherhood, he was democratically elected to be the leader of that country, ousted by the military. Isn't this an attempt of the United States to sort of, tap dance around the fact that Egypt's going through a military coup right now, putting the ousted, democratically elected leader on trial?
Well, I think that we are beyond this point, really, because in the United States they had these discussions, whether it was a coup d'etat or it was not a coup d'etat. I think that the United States decided that it is not.
Well, they cannot call it a coup d'etat because if they do, they have to stop all the funds.
Exactly.
Don't they? Okay.
So there is the policy of the United States, the administration, and there is the reality on the ground. And the United States, and I think this is a clever position, this is not the time to stop or to cut off the aid to Egypt. This is not the time. And secondly, let's put it into proportion. When we are talking about 10 Apaches helicopters, look, this is not going to change really or substantially the might of the Egyptian army. We are talking about 200 million, which in terms
Small change, okay.
look, proportionally to 1.5
It is,
billion,
it's not that much money.
It's not that much money, and 10 helicopters and few kind, of bombs, etc., is not going to change the situation. But yes, this is a strong signal coming from the United States, the administration, to the Egyptians. Please move on.
But when the Egyptians, and they knew this was coming, this has been in talks for a while, that aid might be not suspended or recalibrated. When Egypt goes ahead and says it's about to trial Morsi, that it basically shows, isn't it some sort of a show of force to the United States? We're not listening, we're going to put on trial the democratically elected prime minister and proceed with that?
As long as I recall, I don't think that the United States have asked the Egyptians not to put on trial Morsi. And Morsi trial is something completely different. This belongs, to the domestic issue. They have put Mubarak into trial. They will put Morsi, and probably in the future somebody else will be on trial. This is a domestic issue that Egyptians will go on with this. This has nothing to do with the United States. The United States accepted now the new government in Egypt, or the new regime, call it, but they are asking the new regime to move on. And they will put pressure on that. They will continue.
The most, I think what I was trying to lead to, isn't this the most important thing when it comes to U.S. military aid to Egypt, or the U.S. aid to Egypt? Isn't that the one thing that, it holds the Israeli-Egyptian peace together, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but look, the Americans are helping the Egyptians now in their fight in Sinai against the jihadi Islamist elements. And they are giving them the appropriate weapons for that. So they are not cutting this kind of weapons. They are saying, okay, this time we're not going to give you the 10 Apaches. 2 months ago, they said we're not going to give you 4 F-16.
Yeah.
But never the United States is going to put in jeopardy the possibility of the Egyptian army to fight the terrorism in Sinai, because this is an American interest.
Ambassador Lebanon, thank you so much for joining us. Real quickly now, we're going to move to Iran. Again, the Middle East giving us a lot of news this morning. It's preparing a package, Iran, of proposals to halt production of near-weapons-grade nuclear fuel, key demand of the U.S. and other global powers, according to officials briefed in diplomacy ahead of talks in Geneva next week. To hear more about it, I-24 News diplomatic correspondent Tal Shalev is here with me. Tal, this is the Iranians once again showing they're ready to talk business. And I think our interest here is, what is Israel going to do now? This has been we're following a week of a lot of, fights between Israel and Iran. Will Iran manage to get talks on the table with the U.S.?
Well, first of all, excuse me, the situation is this. We're 5 or 6 days ahead of the opening of the talks in Geneva, and we're going to have many leaks like this. Yesterday, the diplomatic blogger Laura Rosen writes in her blog that the West hasn't received any concrete offer from the Iranians yet. So because...
And this was leaked by who? By the Wall Street Journal, wasn't it?
The Wall Street Journal, yes. So there was a denial to the report in the Wall Street Journal. But anyway, we should expect more and more leaks like this and disinformation, because we're starting a negotiation and every side wants to leak its opening, its starting point. So this is one thing. And from the Israeli point of view, we've been seeing the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the past 10 days, every day on media or in some public statement, and he's trying to convey the same message all the time. He's meeting with European leaders, he's meeting with his defense minister is in the U.S. meeting with his counterpart, and with Senate members.
But if a proposal is such that has been reported, then taken back, et cetera, if the Iranians comes with a package as such to Geneva, where I suppose the Israelis don't have much say in the talks in Geneva, next
The
week.
Israelis don't have any say in the talks in Geneva next week, but they are now working on their representatives, while the Iranians are working on Russia and China. The Iranian deputy prime minister is now on his way to Russia and China to try to keep them on their side. Then Israel is trying to work with the U.S., Germany, France, and Britain, and try to pressure them to keep up a tougher stance.
But if they do come with that proposal, and that sounds like something that Obama actually said, if they come with XYZ, that's XYZ. What can the Israelis do?
This is not XYZ yet, and I think 20% uranium enrichment, at least from the Israeli point of view, at this point, if a year ago it would be something they could live with, they're all saying in the past year there's been a dramatic enhancement in the program, so the 20% limit doesn't really matter because they already have too many centrifuges.
Centrifuges. Tal Shalev, I-24 diplomatic correspondent. Always a pleasure to have you, Ambassador Lebanon. Same to you. When we get back, Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan meets Hamas leader Khaled Mashal in Ankara. First, let's go back to the morning headlines. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, staying with us, I-24 News Morning Edition. And let's say hello and good morning to our one and only Anthony Grant on this autumny morning, you know, this fallish type of thing.
It's a late, summery, pre-winter.
Is there really an autumn in the Middle East?
It's a nice day.
It's a nice day.
Yeah, let's just call it what
a nice
it
day.
is.
And you're here to discuss the news that you might have missed while scanning the headlines. And what did we miss?
Well, let's talk about the Pope.
Always.
Who is a nice Pope. Right?
He is a nice Pope.
He's nice. Pope Francis is nice. And the Jerusalem Post reports that he might be coming to Israel.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No, nothing against that. Sorry, I've covered two popes. It's such a mess. Okay.
Well,
the traffic stops. Okay,
no,
yes.
That could be happening.
Yes.
But yes, the Pope. He told the Israeli Knesset speaker, Yuli Edelstein, who was visiting the Vatican, that he would be very open to coming to the Knesset to make a visit to the Holy Land, and apparently, I don't know if Yuli Edelstein nudged him, but the paper quotes the Pope.
Trust Yuli Edelstein to nudge the Pope.
Yeah, the Pope says, "I'm coming." Okay. I mean, that's how he's quoted.
Isn't that? And Ratzinger was here just, what was it? The German Pope was here. I keep calling him the last Pope was
the
here.
other Pope.
The other Pope, was here 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
But yes, I think the South American should really,
I mean, based on the huge reception he got in Rio de Janeiro, if he comes to Israel, I think it's going to be obviously a
he's going to be big
event.
in Jerusalem. Huge.
Very
huge.
big. Yeah.
Definitely. Amen. Okay.
Okay. Well, moving on to Iran. Yes, as we do. The Tasnim news agency, which is a kind of a semi-official Iranian news source, reports that Iran confirms resumption of diplomatic ties with Britain.
Wow. Did Britain confirm?
Well, actually, the British press has confirmed that they are going to resume low-level diplomatic relations. This is not a full restoration of the diplomatic ties which were severed in 2011 after an Iranian mob of students kind of did a protest in front of the British embassy.
Yeah, the late 70s thing they did in the American embassy.
Where there's an exchange of a charge d'affaires, which is a beneath ambassador level post.
Yeah.
But it's actually easier to resume diplomatic ties when they've come off of a recent suspension like that, as opposed to the U.S., which it's been frozen since 1979.
And I think is this something also the Brits are trying to gesture? I'm theorizing. You're going to theorize with me. Gesture to the Americans, maybe, that if they're moving forward and trying to normalize relations with the Iranians, that's where their empathy. Well, I don't know.
I'm sure there must have been communication. We know that the United States and Britain have a special relationship, and there is probably some communication on the diplomatic back channels going on there. These events don't happen in isolation.
Exactly, they don't happen with everybody knows. We're the last ones to know.
So, and interestingly, the Iranian news agency reports they talk about how the Iranian mob protested in front of the British embassy.
They reviled it in the press.
They actually revealed that. So that's very interesting to watch.
It is. It's also something I don't want to call it freedom of the press, but it's
a
not,
little
it's
more openness
up.
than
It's
we've
opening
seen.
Up. Yeah, than we've seen.
The New York Times reports that rights advocates are suing the United Nations over the spread of cholera in Haiti. This is a very, very big story.
No, as they should. But you tell me.
Well, basically, according to the story, this Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti, which is a human rights group, claims that the United Nations peacekeepers who were sent to help Haiti in the aftermath of the huge earthquake actually were responsible for some sewage contamination, tracing it to some of the Nepalese peacekeeping forces that were there.
Yeah.
And they filed a lawsuit in Manhattan Federal District Court yesterday.
Unbelievable.
And this is, at a time when the UN is facing a lot of legitimacy, credibility issues. Israel is not happy that an Iranian is going to be the rapporteur on a disarmament committee.
Right.
Now there's this in the UN. This
Haiti,
chips away.
We all have forgotten, and that earthquake that was horrible.
Right.
There was a lot of criticism towards the UN.
How they handled
it when they came in. I actually covered it on the ground. It was a complete mess and not handled very well by the UN in many respects, but we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to say much more.
So let's see how this unfolds in Manhattan. The Daily Star in Beirut has a great story, shock value sexism and superficiality. Lebanon's advertising problem.
Okay.
Yeah, they report on the problems that women and young women are encountering sexism, bad body image, mixed messages. It's a mess there. A lot of stereotyping of women going on in advertising on a large scale. There was.
I'm glad they're raising an issue that I find is a problem all around the world when it comes to advertising.
It is, and the fact that this should be the worst problem that Lebanon has, right? But they mentioned that Beirut Design Week, there was an advertising campaign featuring one of the designers had a woman with a bag over her head and a man strangling her with a belt. This was going for shock value. And then there's the sexism.
What were they advertising?
Design.
Design.
And they actually pulled those ads. So there's a tug of war
for your
going on here.
S&M design in your closet. Yeah. Okay. Ugh.
So it's nice that there's room for this kind of conversation in Lebanon now,
and
because
it's nice that there's discourse.
Yeah, but advertising execs are saying that a lot of clients are stuck in the past and they need to update their expectations of what consumers want to see in advertisements.
Show the Miley Cyrus. I'm just kidding.
Show the Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, there we go.
Doing a belly dance.
Bingo. Yes.
The Arizona Daily Star.
Wow, how'd you get to that one?
Yeah, well, I often think about Arizona.
You do?
Yeah, the Grand Canyon, how it's closed
the
because
life of Tony Grant. I have to investigate that one day. Sorry. Yes.
Well, as you do, don't go to Tucson.
Okay.
Because that's where the other night dozens of people, Americans, were confronting border guard agents during a traffic stop that, some illegal immigrants had been stopped by police. It was stopped in a traffic incident violation. They were found to have no papers, so illegals. What happened was dozens of Americans started to spontaneously protest and try to intercede to protect these
the illegal immigrants,
illegals from being rounded up, basically.
Okay.
And you have a picture here which shows your basic the people who are protesting on the left and the cops using a pepper spray to push them back. And it's this is apparently the first time
using pepper spray.
Yeah, and the taser guns were ready.
With mini skirts.
Yeah. This was the first time the paper reports that a protest of this magnitude spontaneously happened in at least Tucson, which is a big city in Arizona,
really,
and it shows the frictions with the tensions between the immigrants, the illegals, the people that think that hey, they're just doing their jobs, so what if they don't have the papers? It's a big issue in California, Arizona, Texas.
Very much so.
Yeah.
The border, and it's interesting to see that actually people were stepping in. For illegal
about 100 people, which at an off hour, and then the overreaction, some would say, of the cops, pepper spraying people.
Reminiscent a bit of Wall Street demonstrations a few years ago.
It's sort of like equating protest with evil, which when actually it's a protest,
and it's the United
peaceful.
States, isn't that?
It's kind of dumb.
It is stupid.
It's kind of dumb.
Okay.
And that brings me to the New York Post, which reports that U.S. adults are dumber than the average human.
Why am I not surprised?
Why are we not surprised?
Okay, the U.S. adults are dumber than the average human.
I didn't say it. The New York Post said it. Yeah.
I love it. I've been claiming that for years.
Now, this was
finally a
referring
headline.
to, yeah. It's not a joke, but they're referring to a study of some survey about math, reading comprehension skills.
There was once a very funny thing on the web where it showed the map of the world and what an average American knows about the world.
Yes.
And it showed, England, there lives the Queen, and anything below that, there'll be dragons. And that, very, how far can we take this?
Yeah, well, we could take it far. But to Americans' credit, the Italians and Spanish also did not fare too well in terms of math and problem-solving capabilities and all that. And the Dutch and the Japanese, of course, were soaring above many people in this on this survey.
Yeah, okay.
But it's great news for America at a time when our government's functioning, the economy's humming.
Maybe
this is what we want to see.
The shutdown.
Yeah.
But we'll not go there.
Yeah.
Tony, fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you in the next hour.
Okay.
On to our next topic. In Turkey, Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan met with Hamas's political wing leader Khaled Mashal in Ankara yesterday to discuss regional developments. The increasingly isolated Mashal and the Turkish Prime Minister have already met 3 times in the last year, showing Turkey's continued support to Hamas and Gaza. We are joined in studio by I24 News senior editor Ruthie Sinai. Good morning to you, Ruthie.
Yeah.
And on the phone from Istanbul by Michal Bar-David. Michal, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Ed.
Good morning. Any information came out of that meeting of what was discussed between Erdogan and Khaled Mashal of Hamas?
Unfortunately, we don't have too much information. They didn't even announce that the meeting was going to take place only 2 hours before it took place. We only know that the request for the meeting came from the Palestinian side, and the only statement came from an anonymous source from the government. He said that 2 topics were on the agenda: the current situation in Gaza and regional development, of course, meaning the Syrian conflict, and the issue of national reconciliation between Hamas and Fatah.
Now, this is a meeting that actually came a day after Israeli and Palestinian Authority leaders met to continue renewed peace talks, to which Hamas is very much opposed. Is Erdogan taking a stand here, saying that he's opposed to that as well? I mean, what is his stand? Is interesting to figure out.
I couldn't hear the first part of your question.
This meeting comes a day after Israeli leaders and Palestinian Authority leaders met to continue renewed peace talks in Israel and the Palestinian Authority. Now, this is a meeting Erdogan has with a leader that is opposed to those talks. Is Erdogan opposed to the Israeli-Palestinian talks as well?
Well, of course, he has been saying that he is not opposed to it. However, we don't know what he's talking with Hamas, of course, but Erdogan's statement has always been that he is for the Middle East peace. He wants to be, of course, before ties with Israel has been strained so much after the Mavi Marmara incident, he has not been talking about being the mediator. But before that, his stand was always that he wants peace in the region, that he wants to be the mediator between Palestinians and Israel. So he might be trying to see what his stand would be with Hamas in there, and whether or not he can still try to be a mediator in the future.
We can't forget the Gaza flotilla of a couple of years ago. But real quickly, before we move onwards, Erdogan has been having very, provocative statements throughout the last few months when it comes to regional Middle Eastern issues. That said, within his country, he's trying to, to carry out several reforms. What is behind that? What is his reform package?
Okay, there are a lot of changes that he's proposing in the reform package, but he's getting a lot of criticism for it. The most significant change was on the wearing of headscarves, which is a controversial topic in Turkey, of course. It has been put into effect already. Women are allowed to wear headscarves while working government jobs and in parliament for the first time in the history of Turkish Republic. However, the headscarf ban remains in place for judges, prosecutors, and police officers. That being said, it's actually quite contradictory, and hypocrisy is quite open, because just yesterday, a television presenter was fired for showing too much cleavage right after Hüseyin Çelik, the spokesman for the ruling Justice and Development Party, criticized her for showing this much cleavage. She was fired the next day.
Unbelievable.
So
there's
a lot of hypocrisy there.
In that respect, Michal, thank you so much for the report from the ground. The fascinating with the cleavage issue will never happen here. Ruthie, we're joined by Ruthie Sinai, I24 senior news editor. This reform package, and Erdogan, who I have to say is a bit of an enigma over the course of the last few years.
That's a bit of an understatement.
I'm trying to be diplomatic without cleavage. That said, what does it mean for Turkey? What does it mean? Why does he need to introduce these reform packages?
Well, I think, on the face of it, it's simple. He's an Islamic president, and he basically wants to sort of chip away at the very secular constitution of Turkey, and which has been very, very prominent and predominant in Turkish life for the last 90 years. The ban on women wearing veils in public places has had, a lot of practical. Women who refuse to take off their headscarf cannot go to university. In some places, it's enforced a little unevenly. But so he's saying, well, this is a human rights issue. Why don't we let these women wear whatever that they want, not wear, but wear headscarves at universities and in the courtrooms and teachers and, everywhere that's public. And there's no reason not to allow it. Secular, not secular, it's got nothing to do with it. It's a human rights issue, right. Which is sort of ironic because his opponents are saying, this is a ruse. In fact, he doesn't care about human rights. What he really cares about is Islam, and he's trying to get Islam in through the back door of using the human rights as an excuse. And it's also very interesting to see what's going on as an opposite trend to what's going on in Europe, where, by virtue of the same human rights that everybody is all of a sudden interested in protecting, they're not allowing the veil because they're saying, well, there should be equality in the public place and women shouldn't be forced, people have the right to look each other in the eye and so on. I just want, if I may, just to refer to this brief the meeting with Erdogan.
Yes,
with Masha. And it's interesting because I don't think it's so important what they talked about. I think the very fact that they talked, given the Hamas isolation, it's lost all its allies. It's lost Morsi in Egypt. It's lost Syria. The Syrian support.
It has major financial problems.
It has major financial problems. There's peace talks going on between Israel and Palestinians, and I think it really needs a friend.
Yeah, Ruthie Sinai, thank you so much for being with us this morning. When we come back, can vitamins really help prevent cancer? Public pressure is demanding more research. First, let's go back to the morning headlines. Welcome back. It is still Thursday, October 10th, 2013. This is still the morning edition on I-24 News. You're still with us. And first, let's go a bit back to our breaking news this morning. Ali Zeidan, Libyan Prime Minister of the interim government, has been kidnapped from a hotel in Tripoli a few hours ago. We are joined on the phone now by I-24 News Washington, D.C. correspondent Steve Cates. Steve, good morning to you.
Good morning, Al.
Now, Steve, in terms of Ali Zeidan, this is breaking news in the Middle East. Obviously, it's nighttime in the States. Any reactions from the U.S. administration? And wasn't there also some kind of did Ali Zeidan not try to contact the U.S. yesterday?
Well, apparently there were conversations being made. Here's the problem. It's 2 in the morning here in Washington, D.C. State Department officials, because of the sequester and because of the problem with the shutdown, do not have a big staff.
Are not working.
Two people. Yeah, so they haven't issued any statement yet. We're expecting one to come very shortly in the next few hours. The interesting part about Minister Zeidan was just days ago he had commented on the raid in which U.S. Special Forces had nabbed Mr. al-Libi, talking about how uncomfortable and unpleasant it was in terms of Libya wanting people to be tried on their soil, not by foreign forces. But he did stress that it would not harm ties with Washington.
Now, which has been the case for any country that has U.S. forces on the ground, discontent by the population. Very little that we know right now about this kidnapping. We will be following any kind of statement. But you mentioned the shutdown and the fact that the U.S. government, is on low staff, putting it mildly. That also affects international and foreign policy of the United States, specifically when it comes to aid. I think we can touch a little bit on what does this mean when a government is shut down in the United States? What does it mean to regional Middle Eastern countries?
Well, it means something big for Israel. I-24 has learned through sources at the State Department that for fiscal year 2014, which that started just last Tuesday, the day of the shutdown, security assistance funding for Israel is delayed until a CR, a continuing resolution, or a full-year appropriation is passed. The State Department's ability to provide military assistance to Israel and other allies, we're being told, could, and they use the word could, be hindered. They're very careful about the verbiage they're using. Right. And they went on to say that based on the current funding for 2014, there's a big concern about being able to support the multinational force and observers, which is the peacekeeping mission in the Sinai between Egypt and Israel. This comes at a time when there's a lot of unrest, as you well know.
No, exactly. This is the time where I think no country in this region can afford to not receive its aid. We're talking about billions of dollars when it comes to aid from the United States to Israel. Steve Cates, thank you so much for joining us this morning. As always, you will follow the stories for us from D.C. Now, we are joined by my one and only Anthony Grant on issues that are completely different with the best with the review of the best web stories and threads out there. Dyslexia is a horrible disease. Yeah. What is out there? Yeah, talk about it. Shoot.
Well, talking about America. Talking about the great sunshine state of Florida.
I love that. There's always, I think we have to explain, there's always another guest in the studio when we start, and we're always scaring them. Florida.
Well,
yes.
You know what's scary is crocodiles.
Definitely. Lots of them in Florida.
Lots of them.
Crocodiles and Jews.
More crocodiles and Jews, more of both than we ever suspected. But the Jews are not invading the naval bases in Key West, or the Keys, but crocodiles are, apparently.
I just had an image of my grandmother invading a base.
Going on down to Key West.
So the crocodiles are invading the bases?
A crocodile, a 9-footer, crawled onto the Boca Chica Naval Air Base Station.
Probably for its name.
Well, Boca Chica.
Boca Chica, yeah.
Well, it was kind of a first because normally you see these alligators in other parts of Florida, crocodiles, I should say.
Okay.
But apparently they're growing exponentially, and they're invading the islands, which are known to most for fishing and beaching, and so the military.
Or herpes-infected monkeys.
Right.
For that matter of fact, yes.
So the military thought, well, why don't we give this gator a job? Because, to help the economy. So they put a tracker on its tail or whatever, and now it's going to be monitoring other crocodile movements in the area.
My God, they're in Florida, they drank the Kool-Aid. So the gator is now working for the U.S. Army?
Basically, it's got some kind of top secret identification device, like an ankle bracelet of sorts.
Right.
And
like Martha Stewart had when she was in house arrest.
Right.
Something like that, yeah.
Martha Stewart crocodile.
Crocodiles. Yeah, how I made a connection, I have no idea.
There's no connection.
That's so creepy. Is that because they're so short-staffed now with the,
maybe, because it is a federal...
We're just going to hire the crocodiles, bring them in. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of 2,000 crocodiles that are on the loose in the state of Florida.
State of Florida, always, the state that keeps on giving.
Yeah. You know who also keeps on giving?
Who?
Cher.
Yes.
Now, I was hearing the word chair a lot yesterday because the new Federal Reserve chairwoman,
yes,
Janet,
Yellen.
I keep hearing chair, so I was thinking about Cher. So I thought maybe they were appointing.
I can see how you made that connection.
Yeah, so Cher actually has been in the news a lot for slamming people. Miley Cyrus, Madonna. Yeah. But actually, she's back to not doing that, and she's doing some charity work for autism. For $300, Cher will record a private message for you and give the money to an autism charity. So what message would you like Cher to have? You.
Wait. The message, I missed the first part of it. Cher is going to...
Cher, it's a charity. It's called Sound Off for Autism, and some celebrities, notably Cher, basically if someone contacts her and they want to make this payment of $299, she will record a private message for them and donate the proceeds to this autism charity.
You know I'm going to do this. I mean, I'm not sorry, but I'm gonna come up with a statement or something like that and
I mean,
surprise
the possibilities are endless.
They're endless. They're endless. They're going to involve the B word, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Yes.
Well, Cher, I think it's she's going to do her new Dress to Kill tour, so this is all part of that kind of publicity.
I wonder what the Dress to Kill would be. I remember she came in naked to the Oscars a few years back.
She was before Gaga, before Cyrus.
She was the first
She was taking it off before everybody else.
My God, learn women. Yes. What else?
Let's go to Morocco real quick.
Okay.
Facebook. Two Moroccan teens posted a picture of themselves smooching on Facebook, and it's not that one.
Okay.
But,
not that one. Okay.
But they
yes.
did a Facebook post, and it got them to hot water, potential 2-year prison sentence. This is
Morocco as well. I mean, this is things that we see in Qatar that we think, but my God.
Yeah, Morocco. It's considered to be an affront to decency,
Yeah.
and it's a teenage boy, teenage girl, just a very innocent kind of kiss, and you can't even see their faces, but someone.
And they're teenagers.
And they're teenagers.
Yeah.
And they're going to trial on Friday.
No, this is really going ahead.
This is going ahead. Who knows if it's just a sort of an example that the authorities want to say, listen, you shouldn't be doing this,
Right.
but it's a real issue and it's a real
Unbelievable.
trial case. So and it's just a kiss. So you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting to see how that plays
Not
itself
fun
out.
to be a teenager in Morocco these days, obviously.
No, it's
What
much more
else?
fun to be Mariah Carey.
Always.
Yeah.
God, Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey.
Glitter.
Mariah Carey tweeted a picture of her her bust
Okay.
to her husband
Whoa.
for her birthday. Now the thing is this.
Well, she tweeted to her husband or to the rest of
Well,
us?
she also has 14 million Twitter followers. So the thing is, if you're her husband, do
Yeah.
you want 14 million people to be seeing that? Maybe it's I don't know.
No, and my baby, I'm waiting for you. Okay. This is like as if she's singing? This is
Yeah,
so...
I mean, she's a great singer. I mean,
No, she's a great
but,
singer.
and she's also got
clearly
other
because
assets.
She has a lot to bring that voice out of.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She has a lot to offer. But
It's displayed out
the
there.
thing is that appropriate or not? It's up for
Yeah, no,
the world to
I will
decide.
answer that for you. No, it's
Okay.
not. It's not. Yeah, I would not do
closed.
that. Case closed.
Case
just decided.
closed.
Yes.
It makes you almost want to go skiing in North Korea.
I've been dreaming for years to go skiing in North Korea.
So have 0.02% of the North Koreans who actually know how to ski. But
That's what, 3 people?
It's about
Okay.
2.
Two,
It's
okay.
2. But today is the 68th anniversary of the Korean Workers' Party, and they have timed.
They tend to ski?
Yeah, they've timed the opening of the ski resort to coincide with this celebration.
Okay.
And it's if you want to ski North Korea. They built their own ski lifts. They say they can build rockets and nuclear weapons, and they can build ski
They can
lifts too.
shoot you out to the ski. My God. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one thing you would not expect to see coming out of North Korea.
No, but they're trying to court
And then
tourism
there's a
dollars.
luxury skiing resort?
Yeah,
Or
luxury.
don't they have to let people in first?
Right. Yeah.
That would help.
That's the luxury.
That's
you get into the
you've been
country.
allowed
Actually,
in.
the real luxury is being able to leave.
Exactly.
So that's
oh my God,
unofficial,
there's the
but-
California hotel and then there's North Korea.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. What else?
Helena Bonham Carter.
I love Helena
Yeah,
Bonham
who
Carter.
doesn't?
Right.
Would you love her in that makeup?
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh, she's been married to him for way too long.
Now the thing is,
You know-
there was reports that he had kissed a mystery blonde recently, but when you look at that makeup, can you
You can't blame him.
can you blame him?
Did it,
I
was
mean,
it before, after she wore that? Did
now
she just...
apparently this was sort of an homage to one of the movies, one of Tim Burton's crazy movies, like The Night
Clearly,
Before
'cause she-
Christmas. But
I
still,
mean, and she's married to Tim Burton, which I always found fascinating.
I found it deeply disturbing.
Oh,
actually.
come on.
I mean,
You know, it's a crazy man.
from A Room with the View and Julian Sands to that.
To that, yeah.
A talented, handsome guy, but kind of an odd couple.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they were at the Royal Albert Hall the other day holding hands visibly, so the cheating
While
rumors...
she was bleeding from the makeup.
While her makeup was running all over the 6 continents, or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tabloids are following that. They're a power couple in
They
the
are a power
industry.
couple. They're a
It's,
power couple. And I love his films. I mean, they're creepy as hell, but, you know.
Edward Scissorhands was the best.
Edward Scissorhands was
Yeah,
was
when
good.
Johnny Depp was Johnny Depp.
I know,
He's
know.
still Johnny Depp, but
Did he do Beetlejuice?
was that Johnny Depp?
I don't, no, not Johnny Depp.
That
but
was
Tim Burton. I don't know if it was Tim Burton. That wasn't him.
What was it? Winona
Winona Ryder back when
in the day.
back in the day. That was that's Edward Scissorhands. When she was blonde, we can go on and on.
Yeah, great
Lovely.
film.
Great film.
Great
Great
times.
film. Thank you. Not like Crocodiles in Florida, but still.
We'll make a movie out of those next.
Bingo. Thank
Tim
you,
Burton will.
Tony, for joining. And moving onwards, can vitamins help prevent cancer? And that depends on who you're asking. We're joined by Dr. Mel Littman of the Quantum Medical Center. Good morning to you, Dr. Littman.
Good morning.
Now, you're here to tell us about a relatively new medical field that connects between nutrition and cancer. But is it new? I'm sorry. I think that I've been hearing about it for years, no?
It's been around for quite a while.
Okay.
It's probably 40, 50 years.
Thank you.
It's called orthomolecular medicine. It's actually a word that was coined by Linus Pauling. If you remember, he was like maybe the top biochemist of the 20th century.
Right.
And he actually created the word orthomolecular medicine. And
what does it mean, orthomolecular medicine?
What it means is treating diseases or preventing diseases by optimizing if you want, the biochemical environment of the body,
right.
which means putting in what the body needs in order to function, the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids. These days it also includes bioidentical hormone replacement. So exactly the molecules that are correct for the body's functioning, and whatever you're lacking, that's what
will give it. Now, this new study, what does it say?
Okay, so this is a large study. It's part of the Physicians' Health Study, which has been an ongoing study for a number of years now. This part of it, they had about almost 15,000 men. That was what they consider like a gold standard type of study. It was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled. So it meant half the people were getting a multivitamin and half were getting a placebo. And they followed them for more than 10 years.
Wow.
And we're looking at what effect that was going to have on their cancer incidence.
And neither of them had cancer before the study started,
not exactly.
Okay.
Neither of them had an ongoing cancer.
Okay.
Some of them may have had a cancer that was treated, but that was behind them.
And what did it show? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a study about multivitamins a few years back that showed that actually it doesn't help, or it's with women and multivitamins and cancer?
That was less than 2 years ago, and that was very topical when it came out. It was a different kind of study, but the headlines that came out of it.
Yeah, the headlines were quite shattering.
Yeah,
my mother stopped taking multivitamins after that study.
Right.
Okay, because it basically said that it can help cause cancer, didn't it?
It didn't say cause cancer. It said it was increasing the death rate in older women.
Right.
That was the headline, that multivitamins increase the death rate in older women.
And the headline from this new study?
And that's exactly what happened, is that thousands of people just stopped taking their vitamins because they figured...
Can you blame them?
No.
My mother called me 5 times a day.
Right.
But
and they were thinking, the next vitamin they take is going to kill them.
Yeah.
It was a lot of hype around it.
Right.
There was a lot of things that, again, it was a different kind of study. That was what they call a retrospective study. There was a questionnaire type of thing.
And in this study, then?
Okay, no, but even with that, though, again, there's a lot of problems with those kind of studies because they're not looking for cause and effect. They're looking for correlations.
Right.
And when if you looked into that same study, if you look at some of the details, there was a lot of other stuff that wasn't reported. Like when they looked at some individual vitamins and minerals, they said, well, when they took more of this one, it reduced their death rate.
Yeah.
This one reduced
you're talking about correlation. You would agree with me that the headlines as such, when they come out, they freak the greater public out.
Yes.
And in that respect, to us mere mortals who are not scientists, when it says correlation rather than cause and effect, then it just breaks open the market in that respect. But what does this study mean and does it relate just to men, and does it counteract, or does it, the other study?
Well, I said the other study, it's hard to compare things. The other one was not a cause and effect.
This one is a cause and effect.
That's right.
Okay.
This one is a prospective randomized control. So again, the other one, they were just looking back, saying, what were you taking and how many people died?
Okay. And then this one.
Again, the part that was very confusing that came out with a study just after that from Europe,
right.
a similar kind of thing where they were using multivitamins, was they said it was reducing death rate.
Sadly, we have to go. But again, fascinating study which we can look online in your never mind. We will check it out. We will give our audience the information when we come back. In Brazil, the World Cup is 8 months away, but scandals are already running wild. First, let's go back to some more of the morning headlines. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, staying with us on this Thursday. We're joined by the Morning Edition's Merav Savir. Good morning, Merav.
Good morning.
And by the sports magazine's Fully Dressed, Nikki Ilan.
Yes.
Yes, I know. You fail me every single time. But first, we're going to start with you, Merav. You're here with some offbeat news this week that I probably missed. And it is what?
Well, we're starting off with what my vacation plans are going to be for next October.
Yes.
The Zombie Evacuation Run outside of Cambridge, England. It is a 5 kilometer race.
That's an odd place to have a zombie evacuation.
Right? It's a 5 kilometer race, and 2,000 people participated in the race itself. There are 200 volunteers who dress up like zombies. And you run through this obstacle course. Yeah. And the point is to get to the end not infected.
Okay.
Uninfected.
And then a zombie bride.
And the zombie, they chase you. There are obstacles along the way. What you get is you get 3 different stripes.
People pay
on you.
money for this?
People pay money for this.
Okay.
I'm going to pay money for this.
You're going,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
this
No,
is going to be
definitely.
great. Next October, you'll find me at this race.
Yeah, you'll tell me all about it. You'll never catch me dead there.
Yeah, people said it was one of the most terrifying things ever. Can you imagine running and all of a sudden
I'm looking at the zombies there. They don't seem that creepy. That's an old British woman with some, syrup dripping from her mouth. But, okay, I take it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So the point is you have these 3 stripes on you, and they have to take the stripes off of you. If you get to the end with at least 1 stripe left, you are uninfected, you've gone to the evacuation point, and you are saved from the zombies.
What do you win other than losing your money?
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
That's all I can think about. I just think it would be a lot of fun, and you wouldn't do that.
We should market the Middle East as something to come over and have fun in. Look at what people spend their money on. Okay, what else?
You wouldn't have fun doing that?
Maybe I'll join you with on this one. Yeah.
I think it would be a blast.
Yeah,
Those are my.
Don't talk to me. You go there only without a shirt. Okay. Yes.
All right. Next, we're moving on to Sweden, where on Sunday 2,000 people got together in the old Olympic Stadium and sang the Russian national anthem. And this is part of the Live and Let Love project that they're putting together with, they're going to edit it together with a bunch of artists from around the world. The video is going to come out on YouTube and on different networks in January, a month before the Sochi Olympics, and it's the world's way of sending a message saying we're with you, we stand with you, and this is how we feel
all about
the
anti-gay laws that are being passed in Russia, and I think Putin is very keen on getting a lot of publicity for the Winter Olympics.
Yes, and I don't
Probably
know if this is the
one.
right publicity for him. He's been in the headlines a lot lately. You know, all these things keep coming out about Russia, about how surveillance is going to be up, and they're going to be watching everybody. And this is really.
And Nikki, I just want to tell you that Putin has no problem taking off his shirt.
Yeah, and he takes off his shirt
taking
when
pictures
when
with
he's horseback
fish that are the size.
Yes, exactly.
It's
okay,
definitely not what we expect. All right, next, they are auctioning off X-rays of Marilyn Monroe's plastic surgery.
What? She had plastic surgery?
Marilyn Monroe had plastic surgery, and they are now
plastic
auctioning
surgery or breast enhancing?
Plastic surgery. They're saying that it was also chin structuring, and there's different X-rays and documents that they're auctioning off. They are said to go between
selling it?
50, physicians and doctors who have come across them. And actually, the physician who's selling it now saying that the money he gets from it he's gonna donate to proceeds to assist U.S. veterans with medical work. So at least it's going.
Exactly.
Good.
At least it's for a good cause.
And we're talking $15,000 to $30,000.
Wow.
That's how much they're assuming people will pay for X-rays proving Marilyn Monroe, who's the icon of fashion from the 50s and 60s.
Nobody's born that pretty, apparently, ever.
Apparently, yeah. You know, our dreams are crashing. Our dreams are crashing. Well, there was always that speculation about whether or not she broke her nose.
Right.
Fixed,
Right.
And so all this is coming out now, and. They're looking to sell these. The auction's going to be in the first 2 weeks of November. So keep your eyes out. If you really want those to hang on your wall.
It's bizarre voyeurism that
I've never understood who buys it.
I don't know. I've met those people.
Who goes after and?
Yeah. What else?
All right, we're going from Marilyn Monroe X-rays to baby DJ school. Yes, a woman in Brooklyn opened up a school for DJs for babies where they can go and she teaches them, and these are toddlers in diapers who she's teaching how to mix music.
Clothes for baby DJ?
Clothes for baby
I love
DJ.
New York because they will come up with everything.
Anything and everything, and in Brooklyn where the money's flowing, they'll go for everything and anything, as we can tell. This is an 8-week course.
I wish the camera would reverse. There's probably a kid looking at that chick going, what the heck do you want from me, woman? Okay, wow.
And, she says it helps with motor skills, which I understand, but teaching your kid to drop beats at 2 years old doesn't seem...
mothers will buy
for
anything,
a lot
really.
of money too.
Yeah, I know. I completely bought into all kinds of stuff that
parents are going to have to hide their CDs back home and
because they're going to take them and start scratching them.
Exactly. No.
I don't know what to do with this thing.
Then they break it. My daughter eats the CDs at home. Okay. Yes. What else?
All right. The shutdown is affecting everybody and everything. And because they've shut down all national monuments and national parks, now couples are having a lot of trouble getting married, and all their ceremonies have been postponed. So Stephen Colbert,
of course,
a believer in love, is coming to the rescue. He is apparently an ordained minister, And
Stephen Colbert of Comedy Central is an ordained minister.
He can marry people, and he went ahead and he married a couple live on his air. He threw them a bachelor and bachelorette party full with shots of alcohol. He had singers come.
I'm also disappointed that I'm already married.
He had, yeah, right?
Yeah,
my dream wedding is Stephen Colbert marrying me live on air in Comedy Central.
I can't think of an equivalent in the region here that would do something like that. Right?
No, we'd have to fly out to New York, Montclair, New Jersey.
Montclair, New Jersey, where Stephen Colbert is marrying off people.
Yeah, yes. So it was, and he had actors come and sing for them, and it was a whole big deal, and that couple had just had the best wedding ever. I think the shutdown, they're the only ones who are happy with the shutdown right now.
And he probably had an amazing show.
Yeah, he probably had a blast. This is South Alley.
And the last one.
And last but not least, we're talking about Putin again.
Yes.
Who,
with or without a shirt?
With a shirt.
With a shirt.
I'm convinced he's having the best week ever. This is from earlier this week. It was his birthday. So while at the APEC meeting, where he's one of the leaders, everybody got together and sang happy birthday to Putin.
Oh God, yeah.
Definitely, you know.
There's something so eerie and odd about this. Yeah.
In English with lots and lots of accents. If you could hear it, you'd be laughing.
And he stands there,
accepting it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And you know, he might be getting a Nobel Peace Prize tomorrow. So who knows? It could be the best week ever for Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, if he gets it over Malala, you know, the 16-year-old.
We're going to be questioning these prizes for a long,
I'm going to be questioning
time,
the human race. Lovely. Mirav Severe, beautiful stuff. Thank you for joining us. Stay with me in the studio. Nikki.
Yes.
Take it off.
Okay, lots of football action. It's hard to.
Look how he completely avoided that. Yes.
It's hard to top it off. I mean, after Putin, you know,
I can tell you how you can top it off. You're not listening to me.
Again, you know, going back to Putin with a Nobel Prize, you know, if really he gets it, then. No, my hat comes off. You know, really, I don't know what to say.
What to say about that? I think that, you know, that will be the first to. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. But if it doesn't, I'll devote an entire show to that. It's Brazil. It's the World Cup.
World Cup Brazil next year, and we have a lot of football action, qualifiers. It's the last rounds this weekend. Lots of countries all across Europe and the rest of the world.
We have a piece, and you have a report about it.
Yes.
Let's take a look.
We just arrived in Brazil, and the first city we are coming to is Porto Alegre, where we have been a year ago. A lot of work has been achieved, and there is no concern about the stadium. It's really in this final phase, working on details.
8 months before the beginning of the World Cup in Brazil, FIFA Secretary General Jerome Valk is inspecting the stadiums intended to host the games. Together with former Brazilian internationals Ronaldo and Bebeto, Valk tours the country in order to examine the stadium's readiness for the games before the final deadline of December 31st.
I mean, definitely there is still a lot of work to do. If you look at the three stadiums we have been, Sao Paulo is, after many discussions, we had a few meetings, and I think that Sao Paulo is really looking well. Manaus is on its way. There is work. Curitiba definitely has a lot of work to do.
Only 2 months ago, Valk sounded optimistic, but since then there have been setbacks. Brazil's Ministry of Labor suspended construction works in Curitiba, claiming that the stadium in the city does not have the proper safety equipment for the workers and grading it as only 79% ready, one of the lowest readiness rates. A report produced after an inspection visit in September showed that there are severe risks of workers being buried and falling from high places, among other severe risks. And this week, Valk sounds very different when responding to the question about whether Brazil will be ready on time.
It's good that the World Cup is in, 240 days, 250 days, 8 months, because then we will not have this kind of question anymore. I would accept this kind of question, I would say, a few months ago. We have been very clear now since we start the process of the ticket sales, so it was on the 19th of August or the 20th of August, that we were working on the 12 host cities organization in Brazil. There is no way that one city will be off the list from now.
So, Brazil, you know, we were talking before during the piece that I actually promised myself I would go to the World Cup, but that's coming
Let's
up.
Let's try to go together.
Yes, you know, it's like and report from there,
exactly.
Shirtless. You. That said.
Yeah.
It's 8 months away, right?
Yes.
What are what's the mess now?
Big delays. The stadiums are far from being built.
Why?
Why?
It's not like they didn't know this was coming.
It's this reoccurring story. Every World Cup, it's the same story. Lots of money that's misplaced and flowing in, and exactly, it never gets to the right people. In the end, the stadiums they have cutbacks, and also the protests in Brazil. Brazilians are really unhappy with all that's going on.
Yeah, that's been, violent protests.
Yes, violent protests, and also it's kind of funny when you think about it, because Brazilians love football. It's a nation that would die for football, but here they draw the line. Yes, exactly. But they draw the line. I like this comparison. Yes.
Okay.
It's yours. And so yes, they a bit of turmoil over there. They also need to evacuate some of the favelas, around Rio,
right.
Which is causing major trouble because
China had something similar, I think, before the Olympics.
Exactly,
they basically move entire cities out.
So they decided to bring in like some elite forces into the favelas to try and push them out, evacuate before the World Cup, and they're doing this on a daily basis. The local population is far from taking it, and we're talking about crime syndicates who will they won't
react.
Yeah, they will react, exactly.
My God, and
so,
are they going to make it with the stadium? They probably will. They always do, right?
Yes, they're going to make it. Let's just say that the problems that Brazil face are far from being the same problems that Qatar is facing for the 2022 World Cup.
Yeah. Now, what's coming up today?
Okay, so later on today, we're going to have a piece on Formula One.
Formula One being, remind me, just kidding.
Formula One, big machines, they drive really, really fast.
Force tricks, those cars,
Exactly.
That thing with the thing, okay.
And this season has always, it's been all about Sebastian Vettel, the German, the 26-year-old, this amazing driver. He's already won 3 world titles in a row, and he's on his way to winning a 4th successive one. He's won the last 4 races also this season, and this weekend they're gonna go at it in Japan for their
And he's slated to be the one, the golden boy.
He's the golden boy.
Young man with fast car.
He's going for the record that Michael Schumacher has before him. I know that this is all news to you.
No. I know these people so well.
He's going for his 5th title.
Yeah.
And otherwise, apart from this piece, we're going to have a lot of football action with the qualifiers for the World Cup. We're going to look at who the contenders are going to be and
who are the contenders.
Okay, so first in Europe, Spain and France happen to be in the same group.
Right.
And the first ones in each group qualify automatically, and the second spot goes to playoff games. France and Spain are tied in their group. Germany still needs to win 1 match. My big hope, Switzerland still needs to win 1 match.
All right, Switzerland, they're so good.
And if we're talking a bit about Israel, yes, Israel is in a group, has very little chances of qualifying even through the playoffs. It would need to beat Portugal in Portugal.
Yeah.
Which is
that's going to happen.
Far-fetched. but it could still happen, because back in the days in the 90s, Israel beat France in France. Israel didn't qualify, but it kind of closed the door for the French.
For the French. That's usually what Israel does when it wins a match.
We're going to ruin it.
We're going to ruin it for somebody else.
Exactly.
We're not going to make it. You're not going to make it either.
Exactly.
In terms of the British, that's interesting to me. England still not secured.
It's not secured. It's in a good position right now. It's in its group, but it still has 2 games, and England needs to win 2 of their last games.
And Germany has got one.
They have two games to play, but they only need 1 win to secure their spot.
Where's Ozil these days?
Ozil plays for Germany.
He plays for Germany, right?
Yes,
very
good. Wow.
I love Ozil.
Exactly. Yeah. Another big match tonight will be Belgium playing in an away match in Zagreb against Croatia. It needs this win, and then it has its ticket to go to Brazil. In North America, the U.S. has already qualified. They're playing against Jamaica. This is going to be a tight fight in this group, not for the U.S. or Jamaica, because Jamaica is last in its group.
Sadly, all the time we have, if the U.S. ever gets the World Cup and wins it, I swear to God, I'm giving back my citizenship. I never said that. That's it for us, folks. This morning edition, I-24 News Thursday, it is over. Join us tomorrow once again to start your day every single day on the morning edition on I-24 News. Thank you.